Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today I have my 5 takeaway series covering 5 Dynasty topics from all the recent news. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So, the first topic dropped today. Rashee Rice suspension finalized at 6 games. He's going to serve that suspension to open the 2025 NFL season. Honestly, I'm just glad this is over with. I feel like we have talked about this endlessly. Now the situation is closed. He'll miss the first 6 games. Will return in week 7. Let's take a quick look at what Rice did in his 3 healthy games last year. It was pretty good. 24 catches, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, 29 targets, 8 catches, and 96 yards a game. Looks pretty elite, right? I mean, it's a 136 catch, 1,632 yards, 17 game pace on 164 targets. Caught 82.8% of his targets, 3.39 yards per route run. I mean, he was really good. Now, this did all come before Xavier Worthy was a big part of the offense, before Rice suffered his injury. So, for me, can we expect quite a return to this after he misses 6 games coming in season? I'm not sure we're going to quite get this again, but I do think we're going to get something good from Rice. I think he's going to come in and you're immediately going to be able to start Rice as a startable wide receiver. And then it might take a little bit of a ramp up before we can get back to this area. Now, what I do here, at the end of the day, Rice might be a buy low, but I have to see what the market is on Rashee Rice. This news was too recent to look at the Rashee Rice market. But I did say when the news cycle started that you're going to get a final sell window on Kelce. Why? I talked about this before, but I'll repeat it again. You're going to hear the following numbers repeated frequently. In the games that Rice started and finished, Kelce averaged just 2.7 catches, 23 yards, and 4 targets a game. He was dead irrelevant, gone. In the other games, he averaged 6.8 catches, 58 yards, and 9.3 targets a game. So you can see this split. You're going to hear this. People are going to talk about these numbers. And if enough people talk about these numbers, that might give you one last window to sell Travis Kelce, who I think is going to retire after this year. I don't think is going to be relevant when Rashee Rice comes back. And I think this is it. This is your final window. So that's the main thing I'm looking to do based on this news. Now, another piece of news that dropped today. Adam Thielen was traded back to the Vikings today. The Vikings got Thielen a conditional 26 7th, a 27 5th. The Panthers got a 26 5th and a 27 4th. Now, this is actually a pretty big price. I mean, the Panthers moved a 5th up from 2027 to 2026, and they got a 4th in 2027 for a conditional 7th, not even a guaranteed 7th. This is not a price you pay, and they also took on none of Thielen's contract. The Vikings are paying the whole thing. So all told, this is not a price you pay for a bench wide receiver, right? This is a starter. Adam Thielen's going to be a starter. Now, what does that mean? He'll be the wide receiver 2 immediately upon Jordan Addison's 3-game suspension. I think so. After that, I do think he'll be the wide receiver 3. Thielen averaged 4.8 catches and 61.5 yards a game in 2024. But all of that production came at the end of the season. When Deontay Johnson, yes, that Deontay Johnson was healthy, Adam Thielen was doing nothing. He was irrelevant, completely not playable. But when all the other wide receivers were gone or hurt the end of the year, he was actually pretty good. So I think Thielen is better than the other wide receivers by a lot, but not better than Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison. Speaking of those other wide receivers, Jalen Naylor has a hand injury, while Ty Felton, their 3rd-round pick, has been just a disaster. He was injured. He's been developing terribly. It's not looking good. So Ty Felton is looking like just a total flame out. So at this point, they need Adam Thielen. You have J.J. McCarthy. He's never played in the NFL. You need another wide receiver to cover this suspension and then be the wide receiver 3 when Jordan Addison comes back. It's pretty simple. Now, what do? Obviously, it's nothing to do with Adam Thielen. We're not trading for Adam Thielen. But I would consider buying low on Jordan Addison. At the end of the day, between the Thielen acquisition, Addison's suspension, and the presence of Justin Jefferson, Addison is an extremely undervalued wide receiver, right? Talked about this many times, but he's a strong prospect. He was a good prospect, one I liked coming into the NFL. He had first-round draft capital. He's still just 23 years old. He's had 2 productive NFL seasons already. He's always been productive. He's never been bad. And he did all of that playing next to a super alpha, Justin Jefferson, the super alpha, probably one of the best, if not the best wide receivers in the league. So Addison is a valuable dynasty wide receiver. That is true. He's been good in the NFL. He's not treated that way, though, by a lot of people. So for me, this has put open a buying window on Jordan Addison even more than it was before. Now, my next piece of news. Spencer Rattler will start week 1. Rattler was named the week 1 starting quarterback by head coach Kellen Moore, ahead of second rounder Tyler Shuck. Over the past month, this is not surprising. I've mentioned to stash Rattler on numerous occasions, including last week. I've talked about it. And, well, it is what it is. I mean, Rattler last year was awful. A lot of people are saying he was good. Those people are completely out of their minds. I mean, he was awful. He completed 57% of his passes. He had 5.8 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He was terrible. He didn't help the offense move. Now, most of the games occurred without Chris Olave and Rashee Shaheed, but this is still abysmal. I don't care who your wide receivers were. You should be better than this. Now, I hear people trying to make takeaways about Olave and Shaheed. Rattler played 1 game with Shaheed. That's his first game he played with Shaheed. 1 game. He played parts of 2 games with Olave, one of which Olave got 14 targets where Shaheed didn't play. But that was 1 game with a different coaching staff. I don't think we can make a real conclusion about what Rattler will or won't do for Olave and Shaheed now that there's a completely new coaching staff. We have no idea what that's going to look like. What we can say is that Rattler was not good last year. That we can say. Rattler was bad. And overall, I'm not excited for him for the weapons. But I hear people getting a little too confident about how this is going to affect Olave or Shaheed specifically. I'm not having that type of confidence here. Now, what to do? I would have no interest in buying either player. And both of them would be more sells to me than buys. To me, Tyler Shuck is a stereotypical sell low. He was a terrible prospect. He turns 26 in September, and he failed to beat out Rattler for a job he was supposed to win. And for those saying this was always the plan, it was not. Shuck was the Vegas favorite, minus 300 or more early on to be the starter. It was obviously not the plan for Spencer Rattler to start. Those people are having cope. Those people are liars. The plan was for Tyler Shuck to start week 1. That didn't happen because he sucks. That's it. It's over. Over, done. Done with Tyler Shuck completely. Now, moving on to Rattler. He's also a sell. Why? Because the odds that he's a real starting quarterback based on his draft capital, 5th rounder, and his 2024 play, abysmal, are slim, right? I mean, he's almost certainly a temporary asset. So I would also be interested in selling him. Now, the Saints' 2026 starting quarterback is almost certainly currently playing college football. Their win total is at 5.5. Most money's on the under. At 4.5, it's almost an even bet. So most people are thinking the Saints are going to win about 5 games. If they win 5 games, or even 6 games, they're going to have a new starting quarterback. It's not going to be one of these guys. So these are temporary assets. They would have to outperform the win total by 3 or 4 games to give one of these guys even a chance. So I have no interest in these quarterbacks. I'd take whatever I could get pretty much for either one and move on in your Dynasty Superflex leagues. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. I'm offering a 50% discount off your first month at all tiers using the code TylerYT50. You can sign up in the top right corner, patreon.com/fantasyadvice. You can get all my rankings, access to Discord, where I discuss all of these stories. At the end of the day, there were more stories than I'm going to cover on this video. There were things that happened on Monday that I've already covered in detail that I'm just getting to now because of the recording schedule. I covered all in the Patreon Discord, all of it, consistently, every day. You're not going to get that on the YouTube. I have my write-ups. I did a bunch of write-ups throughout the offseason. I'm going to do some in-season write-ups as well. I did write-ups on the preseason, covering usage there. Patreon-only videos, I do those from time to time. Direct message fantasy advice, direct line to me to ask all your fantasy questions, and then the ability to ask the in-advance questions for the YouTube videos. You get to direct a little bit of the YouTube content. Tiers begin at just $5 a month, $250 with a discount. Now's a great time to sign up because once the start sit rankings are posted, I'm going to raise the price of the Patreon. I really appreciate those who sign up when I'm not offering the start sit, when it's year round in the off season. I reward those people with the lowest possible price. But in season, I have to raise the price because it's a lot busier and I'm offering the start sit rankings, which are a huge advantage. So I always want to give extra appreciation to those who sign up in the other 8 months of the year, which is why I lower the price during that period of time. Now, if you want to know more about the Patreon, check out my why you should join the Patreon videos on the channel. I was hoping to do another video. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but I'm probably going to do some sort of other video talking about the Patreon at some point on here. So make sure to look for that if you want more information. But again, I believe in this product. I'm there every day. You can ask the people in Patreon. They come in the YouTube comments all the time and talk about it. I'm there every day. I talk about every story, probably too much. You'll get tired of hearing from me. But if you consider that to be a good thing and you want to hear more from me, if you want to hear my takes about everything, the Patreon is the only place to do it. Patreon.com/fantasyadvice. Use code TylerYT50 for 50% off your first month. With that said, I'll move into my next topic. So speaking of topics that were a couple days ago that I covered in the Patreon already, Amari Cooper signed with the Raiders. It was a 1-year deal worth up to $6 million with $3.5 million base guarantee. There's $500K in per game roster bonuses and $2 million of incentives. It's not a lot of money, but it's also not the veteran minimum. They didn't bring him in to have no role or just sit there, right? I mean, that's not what they did. I don't think that Amari Cooper is fantasy relevant. I think Amari Cooper is cooked. But I think it's more interesting what this means kind of for everything else going on the Raiders. Jakobi Meyers recently requested a trade. I do not think that there is going to be a trade at all. I talked about this a bit on the Monday video. Things since then have only made it clearer to me that I don't think there's going to be a trade. He requested a trade. The Raiders have said they will not trade him. Is it a coincidence that those two pieces of news, the Cooper signing and the Meyers trade, came out on the same day? No. But Amari Cooper is an outside wide receiver. Meyers works best in the slot. It's not a one-for-one replacement. Meyers practiced. He was there after the trade request became public. There's no fake injury or anything. At the end of the day, I think this situation is resolved. I think Jakobi Meyers plays there this year. So if I think that, then what is there to do? For me, I would like to just get out of Jack Bech. It just has not worked for Jack Bech. Bech has been a disaster all offseason. I don't think the Meyers trade happens. I really don't. And I think that the Raiders give him some sort of extension, and then he's their wide receiver 1 this year, and then he'll be a piece of their offense next year. I think it's kind of a 1-year extension type of thing. Now, Bech is way behind. He hasn't played a single snap with the first team in the entire preseason. Not rotating, not in here and there, not even one snap. And the Raiders played a lot more 11 personnel in the preseason than I think they're going to play in the regular season. The Raiders are going to play some 12 personnel with Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer in the regular season. I'm not saying it's going to be mostly, but it will be some. So there's even going to be less snaps for wide receivers in the regular season than there was in the preseason. And he couldn't even get there in the preseason when Amari Cooper wasn't even on the team. So Dante Thornton is way ahead of him. Trey Tucker was ahead of him. Now, that might not last, but I think Amari Cooper will be ahead of him. I would take whatever you can get for Jack Bech now, because when he's inactive week 1 and doing nothing, he's only going to continue to lose value. The value is not going to go up. So I would get out now while you still can and just move on, recycle the assets for 60 cents on the dollar and move on. It is what it is, but it's better to sell low than to have your next Jalen Polk. Now, my final story, Tyjae Spears will begin the season on injured reserve. And this just sucks for me. I mean, I liked Spears a lot as a prospect. I liked him coming into the NFL. I liked a lot of what I'd seen from Tyjae Spears. I thought he was a good sleeper this offseason, but he's going to miss the first 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. It's a brutal blow. He's had many injuries to the same leg. The famous ACL issue is in this leg. It's just injury after injury to the same leg. And at some point you have to wonder, is it limiting his effectiveness? You have to talk about that at this point. His dynasty value slipping away to gone. At the end of the day, Spears is from a completely previous regime, a different coaching staff. He's still from Vrabel and from Ran Carthon as general manager. So not this general manager, not this head coach. He's missed pretty much every opportunity to compete for a role here. I don't know what value is left. So it is what it is. You can't really sell players on IR, but it is what it is. I'm pretty much done with Tyjae Spears as the dynasty asset. As for the rest of the running backs, more interesting to talk about that. Caleb Mullings and Julius Chestnut are the other running backs in the Titans depth chart behind Tony Pollard. Obviously, Pollard's way ahead. I'm going to talk about him in a sec. Chestnut has been around for 3 years. He's had 31 total carries. We've talked about him as maybe he's a stash, maybe not, for many years. I don't think it's now going to happen in year 4. That seems unlikely. Mullings is probably the stash I would prefer. If choosing one, I would choose Mullings because we don't know anything about Mullings. Maybe he is good. Who knows? But the big takeaway is that Tony Pollard is going to smash to open 2025. He's not that expensive. So if you're a contender, you have Tony Pollard, I'm okay riding Tony Pollard into the ground. He just doesn't have that much value. The value he offers to your team on the field is more than he probably offers in the sell market. If you're not competing, Pollard's an obvious must sell. He's 28. His guaranteed money is up after this year. So if you're in a retool or rebuild, must sell Pollard immediately. He would be an emergency sell in that situation. But overall, I think he's going to do great to open the year. Now, I've got some other pieces of NFL news I'm going to talk about. This is not all of them. So if you're looking for my takes on anything else, it'll come on the Patreon. But I do have a few things I'm going to talk about on here, extra topics. So the first, Joe Mixon's going to open the year on the non-football injury list. He's going to open on there with an ankle injury. He's going to miss the first 4 weeks. But with the way this is being discussed, I think it's going to be a lot longer than that. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play again in 2025 or even at all. I have no interest in Mixon. This is probably the last time we're going to talk about Mixon. I think this is it. I think Mixon is done, and it is what it is. And we can, I might talk about the other Texans running backs on another video, but I wanted to just close out the book on Joe Mixon. Next up, Kenny Pickett traded to the Raiders. It was traded for a 26th, 5th. Raiders need a backup quarterback after Aiden O'Connell broke his wrist. That's now Pickett. That's not why we're talking about this. We're talking about this because of the other side, the Browns. Joe Flacco's now obviously the starting quarterback. He was already, but now even more solidly. I think he'll get a little bit of a longer leash. Dylan Gabriel's quarterback 2 ahead of Shadur Sanders. That announcement was made after the trade. Kevin Stefanski announced that. So if Flacco were to get hurt or be benched, Dylan Gabriel would be the first to play. I think that is clear. If choosing in Dynasty, I'd rather have Dylan Gabriel because I think it's more likely that we get to see him and he gives you a value spike. I don't think any of these quarterbacks, kind of similar to the Saints, have much of a chance of being the Browns' 2026 starter. But if choosing one, I'd prefer Gabriel, not Sanders. Next up, this was today. Tim Patrick was traded to the Jaguars for a 26th, 6th. Again, this does nothing on the Jaguars side. I hear some people saying, well, now Travis Hunter's going to play more defense. I don't believe that at all. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter are the Jaguars' clear 2 top wide receivers. If you want to talk about how this affects De'Ami Brown or Parker Washington, sure. But I don't think this does much on the Jaguar side. The Lions side's more interesting. Isaac Tesla is now closer to being wide receiver 3 on the depth chart. I still think there's a chance that Khalif Raymond plays ahead of him for week 1, but I don't think that's going to last too long. We know what Khalif Raymond is. He's not very good. Now, I said this on the last video. I'm going to say it again. My recommendation to trade Tesla away is only stronger now. I think that the idea of Tesla is way better than the real thing is going to be. I can't see it. There's no path really here at all to fantasy relevance. There just isn't. I'm sorry. So if you can sell the idea before he's actually had to play or score fantasy points, you're going to get more, I think, than for the real thing. And I recommend this with most hype guys. He's no different. So I've heard about people trading Tesla for a 2nd. I would do that immediately. I liked him when he was going in the mid-4th of a rookie draft. I thought he had room to grow there. But at a 2nd valuation, 26 second, there's no room to grow at that valuation. So it's an easy sale for me. And my last thing to talk about, Najee Harris landed on the active roster. This actually surprised me. He was activated from the NFI list with his eye injury. Opens the door to a week 1 return. I still doubt it. He's going to be on the week 1 active roster. Will he play? I don't think so. I think week 2 or 3 is more likely. He hasn't practiced at all, but it's not going to be 5 or 6 weeks. We're going to see Najee Harris, I think, by week 3 or 4 at the latest. So we're going to see him. He's going to play. He's not out for the year or career over. He's coming back in the relatively near future. However, I do think Amari and Hampton might give you one final buy window now. I don't think we're going back to the original plan, which was for Najee Harris to open the year as a starter and then Amari and Hampton to take over. I don't think we're going back to that plan. I think that plan went away when Harris missed all of this time and fell far behind. It's really hard to buy running backs in Dynasty. Hampton is a popular player. But if someone's worried here, I'd at least take a look and see what the price is on Amari and Hampton. But as usual, buying running backs in this range is not a big part of my strategy. So if you can't buy him, I understand that you can't buy him. So I'm going to do a rapid round on some Patreon questions and then close out the show. Fab usage, how much, when, save it, use it up front. Usually there's not good fab usage down the stretch in Dynasty. I would say if there are good players, use it. Typically in the preseason or week 1 are often the best uses of it. So yeah, I mean, I'm aggressive early on with fab. I also find that in Dynasty, people check out down the stretch and you get good players for nothing. So yes, I'm using it early and aggressively. How do you think about roster construction for bench pieces? Okay, so this is totally different if I'm competing versus not competing. If I'm not competing, all I'm caring about is what on the deep bench can I sell the best. So I'm looking at players I feel like have the biggest sell potential value in that way. So I'm only thinking about value. And if I'm competing, sometimes I'm looking at, rostering my own quarterback backups in Superflex. Sometimes I'm looking at rostering what I need more of, especially in the last 5 to 7 spots on my bench. But yeah, it does go that way. I'm not too focused on anything else, really. That's kind of how I think about it. What are your thoughts on Henderson, TreVeyon Henderson's rise through the preseason? And what are these positives and negatives of this type of player in Dynasty? Okay, so I have TreVeyon Henderson in Dynasty at running back 5. So I'm high on him among running backs, but I don't think I'm high on him overall. Like my running back 5 is, pretty low compared to wide receivers. I think I have maybe 20 wide receivers ahead of my running back 5. So if that helps. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about it. In terms of positives and negatives, I don't know. Henderson's a slightly older prospect, never been a workhorse in college. The odds of Henderson being an elite Dynasty running back, like elite, are very slim. So it does come to a point with Henderson where the price is starting to get too high. In general, price, remember, for running backs, price among running backs and price in general are not the same. And you have to remember that difference. I talk about this on the Patreon all the time. With Pearsall getting so much hype and the season setting up so well for him, at what price would you consider selling? I got to be honest. There's very little evidence that shows that Ricky Pearsall is, a guaranteed asset. Wasn't my favorite prospect. He's almost 25 years old. Has had very little college track record. Had 2 really good games in the NFL. I mean, there's not much there. So I think I'm still at the point where in your usual 12-team Superflex, if I'm offered any future first, I'd take it. I think I'd rather have the future first and miss out on whatever Pearsall is going to give me, because I think I'm going to be a lot happier with that future first than Pearsall. Now, if you liked the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Doing all fantasy football content year-round. Redraft and starts it. Redraft's going on right now. Starts it, of course, in season. All of that on the Patreon only. 50% discount at all tiers using code TylerYT50. You can sign up in the link in the top right corner, patreon.com/fantasyadvice. Every sign up helps support my independent content. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.